Hey photographer, Jessica Whitaker here. In this video, we are going to be going through 3 budget lenses. My style of reviewing is very practical and I skip the overly technical. I'm gonna have all 3 lenses linked down below so you can read through all of the specs yourself and get a more thorough understanding. But this video is just to help gauge your interest and see if one of these lenses might be a good fit for you, your business. And I wanna thank KEH for sponsoring today's video. KEH is where you can buy and sell used camera equipment. All of the equipment is quality inspected and it's also rated so you can see the condition of the equipment that you're going to purchase so you actually know what you're buying. Buying used equipment is not only cheaper for you, but it's also so much more sustainable on the environment. If you're interested in KEH, I have a 5% off discount code linked down below. You can use the code JESS1 for the discount. And also, if you're interested in selling your gear too, you can do it through KEH and then you know you're actually gonna be paid versus something like Venmo, PayPal with a random stranger online. There's just so much more protection there for both the buyer and the seller. Just because you're buying something used doesn't mean that it's in bad condition. It doesn't mean it's been out in the rain, dunked 3 leagues under the sea. It usually just means that it's been sitting in somebody's closet collecting dust and they're wanting to make some cash instead of it just sitting there stale. If you're interested, like I said, link down below, code JESS1 for 5% off of your purchase. And let's get into this video. The first lens that I want to talk about, I feel like I was so debating if this should be the first or like the last because it's probably so expected of me to share. But you guessed it, it's the 50mm 1.4 from Canon. This lens new is about $350 USD. And if you were to buy it used on KEH, it's about $260. Here's the thing, like money is money, whether you're saving $12 or $1,200, if you can save even 50 bucks, that's still $50 towards a credit card payment, textbooks, rent, back into your business. So I do always think, even if it seems like a little difference, it really does add up in the end. A 50mm is a great focal length if you are primarily doing portrait photography or weddings. It's also great for detail shots. Most photographers start out with this lens in their collection when they are upgrading from a kit. The one complaint would be the focusing. I don't think it's the sharpest. I think the 1.8 is significantly sharper than this. Overall, I think that if you are a beginner just starting out and you're wanting to get that nice creamy background, you're wanting the image to be nice and compressed, and you're looking for an affordable portrait lens, then this is definitely your best option. And I'm not making any of these suggestions for you to just go and shell out your money. I think that you need to evaluate your personal finances, your goals, how you want to scale your business, and see if a lens is really going to do that for you. I do think when it comes to should I upgrade my camera body or upgrade the lens first, I would usually go with the lens. And I think that if you are shooting on something even like a Canon Rebel and you're thinking about soon upgrading, try getting this lens. You can use it on your Rebel and you can eventually use it on a full frame camera. Let's move into the next lens. Our next lens is my most recent review. So I was talking with KEH, we were planning out this video, what budget lens we wanted to include. I already had the next one I'm gonna show you and the 50 1.4, but I didn't have this one. So they sent it to me, I tested it out. I was obsessed with the price point, the focal length, and that it opened up to 1.8. 1000% recommend this. Nothing you will see on this channel I would never say and just be like, this is great, and not thoroughly review it, test it out. So even though this lens wasn't something I'd previously used before planning this video, I didn't really have a need for it, but I still had to take it for a spin, try it out, figure out the pros and cons, and I am really excited to talk about the Canon 28mm 1.8 lens. I didn't know that this thing existed, and I wish that I had before I bought my 35mm, and let me tell you why. So I purchased the Sigma 35 for, I believe, $800 or $900. The reason why I wish I had this option and really knew about it was because it's kind of a very similar focal length, and it gives me the same feel and vibe. Now, there is a difference between a 35 and a 28. I'm not gonna get into the technicalities of it, but I'm gonna say if you are just starting out in your business, you want a wider lens specifically for travel, group shots, you want a prime lens that is wide enough to capture the details and architecture when you're traveling, but also something that you could use in some portrait shoots. I think go for this over Sigma 35 Art. This lens is $260 if you buy it used on KEH, or $350 new. Either way, used or new, you're getting a great deal. You're saving a significant amount of money compared to a Sigma 35, which is, I believe, $800 or $700 now. The price has dropped since 2016. It opens up to f1.8. The only major con that I would say about this lens is it is slow to focus. Like, I was getting kind of frustrated when I was testing this lens out on my friend Anya. I'll have those test photos for all the lenses down below so you can kind of get a better feel. Though it's slow to focus, it is still sharp. You just have to have a bit of patience. Manual focus is great on this lens. The ring is pretty smooth. I could totally see this lens being used for videography. I could see it being used for travel photography. Like I said, if you still want to be able to like get the architecture or like photograph a cute lunch, you want to do, you know, like a photo of you in front of a monument, something like that. Branding images, portrait photography to some extent, it's still a little bit too wide for that. I think that this is a great option, great price point. Wish I would have discovered it so much earlier. And I can also do a full review on this lens if you would like me to. Here's the 28mm, here's the 50mm, side by side. They're similar in size, they're small and they're lightweight. So you could throw this onto your camera body and pop it in your handbag. You don't have to have a camera bag dedicated to lugging around this lens. So especially if you're gonna be traveling, you're gonna go into the city with your friends for a day and shoot photos of each other, you can put this into almost any handbag. It doesn't have to be a tote, it could be a small crossbody, and not have to worry about it being so bulky and also heavy. So that also makes it versatile in terms of practicality and lifestyle. Now, let's get into the very last lens that I've owned actually the longest out of all of my lenses. This is the Canon 24-105 f4.0 lens, and it's massive. It's the biggest lens that I own. It's the heaviest that I own. This is the USM original lens. If you were to buy this lens new, don't believe they're in production anymore, but you can still get them new, you would be paying anywhere from $750 to $800. On KEH, this lens goes for about $460. That's like 50% off. And this is the older model of the lens. It's a USM, so you are going to be getting a better deal whether you get it new or used over the USM2, which I believe is like over $1,000. This lens I rarely touch. The reason why I don't really touch this lens is because it only goes down to f4.0. So it's not very versatile for what I like to do with portrait photography. I actually love, not even like, I'm like obsessed with the focal length options. 24-105 is very versatile. I know that I think the counterpart that would be better for portrait photography if you're wanting a zoom lens would be like the 24-70, what is that, 2.8 lens. But for that lens is like $1,000 or so. If you are a videographer or you're doing wedding photography or events, maybe not concerts or anything in like low light because it only goes to f4.0, I think that this is a great budget-friendly zoom lens option. Now, even though I rarely use this lens, I still use it in very particular situations such as wedding photography. I always pick up this lens 2 or 3 times throughout the day, whether that's to photograph the overall layout of like the ceremony space, if this is to photograph other shots during the ceremony, bride walking down the aisle, if I am going to be doing any photos from like a staircase down at the dancing. I'll also use this for some guest photos and group shots. Really suits group photos, so it also would work for family photography. For those ceremony shots, even though that's only maybe 1/3 of the wedding, you're still getting paid for every part of the wedding, and you do need the proper equipment to accommodate for those shots. Doesn't mean you need a ton of equipment, but the focal length does give you a lot of versatility. Would recommend this 100%. I've had no issues with focusing. I've had no issues with this lens overall. It's in great condition even after all these years, even after using it in the rain. It's just not something that I use now in my photography, which would be portraits and video, because when I shoot video, I use a 35, but I'm not a videographer, you see. If you love learning photography in a practical, easy to understand way, be sure to hit subscribe because I'm here on YouTube teaching for you and your business, both digital and film, every single week. I also have my Facebook group called Build and Bloom, which is one of the platform's largest and most engaged photography communities that values encouragement, inclusivity, and also just a place to build up genuine community. I also have my Instagram at Jessica Whitaker, where I share daily tips, tools, and resources to help you build your business. And also, I recently relaunched my photography business podcast. It's called Build and Bloom. It's available on any platform. I always have to say this because it's my most valuable tool, my online photography workshop. If you're looking to start and scale a business in your own backyard, I teach you everything you need to know in 6.5 hours in my online photography business workshop. That will be linked down below, or jessicawhitaker.co/workshop. With all of that being said, I will see you in the next video. Bye.